Thank you for those tunes, Akofa. A very good afternoon to you and welcome to today's edition of Joy Business Masterclass. Masterclass is brought to us by Goyle. Goyle, they say good energy, Goyle, Yenara, Yedia. Masterclass comes your way every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. and runs through to 2:15 p.m. here on your superstation, Joy 99.7. My name is Yaw Anim Barnafo and I'm glad to be your host for today's edition of Masterclass. It's the month of April and we've started a conversation here on the show, a rather interesting conversation on the all-important subject of project management. We had an introductory session last week into project management, what it is, why it's important, why we should consider project management and the things that we do. And one of the things that sort of stayed with me, we will be doing a recap, by the way, for those of us who missed the show, quick recap. But one of the things that stayed with me is the fact that project management is a temporary endeavor which has a beginning and an end. It is a temporary endeavor which has a beginning and an end. And if there's anyone listening who knows anyone at the Project Management Institute, please give them a call. Tell them that we're live on Masterclass and we're talking about project management. And we'd like them to be involved in the conversation when we get interactive so that they can also share some thoughts so that we can all become better for it. And in having that conversation introductory last week, it sort of feels like everything we do in life, or should I say most of the things that we do in life, are temporary. They have a beginning, they have an end. And so somewhat, they may begin to fit into the narrative of project management. The trick or the tricky thing here is that we're doing a lot of these things at the same time. So, you have a shop, you're setting it up at the same time, you're going to school at the same time. I'm careful to give examples because I want to be sure that they're project management examples, but the trick is to be able to keep an eye on all of these things at the same time, because these wheels are turning, different contexts at different speeds, which have different big start times and different end times. But the constant there is you. How do you manage that? Surely we can begin to look to project management as an avenue to manage some of these things. Just also remind us that we're streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X. Today we'll be going deeper into that conversation, and we're looking at the principles of understanding in project management, the principles of understanding. And to have that conversation back here in the studio with us is Godwin Adu-Afful, who's a corporate trainer, an author, and a lecturer at the KNUST. Godwin, you're welcome back to
Thank you,
this conversation.
Nice to see you again.
It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Godwin, I tell them. So I went to school with Godwin, very intelligent chap. And when I sit with him backstage and we talk about project management, it feels like it's the answer to every problem that we have. Mm-hmm. And it takes me to the statement made by David Rockwell, who's an author and a business analyst. And he says that every project is an opportunity to learn. Every project is an opportunity to learn, to figure out problems and challenges, and to invent and reinvent. This is what David Rockwell is saying. Today we talk about the principles of understanding. Talk to us, Godwin.
Right. Thank you. Great. You did a good work with the recap.
Okay.
Explaining what project is and telling them about project management, why it's important in today's business. And we said that if you don't have it, you're not whole. I think I've thought about that statement again. It stands firm, so I will stand by it. If you don't have project management, you are not whole. And we saw some research, we saw some statistics. We all need it. Organizations need it. Government need it. And we saw nations that are actually controlling the world now. What do they use? If you look into that, many of them project management. We saw the high-performing organizations, Ericsson, Samsung, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, they use project management. So if you are looking to become an industry leader, think about project management. And we talked about a lot there. So today we'll be turning our attention to the principles
of understanding
of project management. So we have 5 principles. You could call them commandments. So I also call them 5 commandments of project. Now I looked into this.
Just before you proceed, just very quickly, that Godwin has obliged us a couple of slides for those who like to take notes and for flow of thought and chronology. So if you're able to and you're not driving, please join us online. We're streaming live, and then you can take a look at the slides as well.
Yeah, good.
Please take it away.
All right, thank you. So we'll do the basic of project management. We'll look at the first one, the principle of understanding, or the commandment of understanding. They'll look at the project manager. Who is he? What is his role? And we look at the competence square as a variant of the PMI talent triangle. We'll be looking at this phrase: whatever gets measured gets improved. So whatever you measure, you need to improve it. It's part of the things that we'll be talking about.
Whatever gets measured
Gets improved. So once you're measuring, you need to improve. So I'm measuring the content in the pen book. So I had to improve some of the things in there. So mine is a variant of that. When we get there, we'll talk about it. Yes, so let's get straight into the principle of understanding. But before that, I wrote this quote. Pay attention to it. I said this: whatever you identify, understand. Whatever you understand, elaborate. What is elaborated is easily performed. Whatever is performed should be measured. Whatever is measured should be improved. Whatever is started should be finished. That's not the end. Whatever is completed should have all loose ends tied up. So you need to tie all loose ends. And that brings us the difference between completing and closing.
You know why I'm laughing? You've seen that thing on social media where they say, put your hands up, 10 fingers. If you've ever drank water from a cup, put a finger down. If you've ever drank water with ice in it. By the time you got to the I think the last three, I realized that a lot of people were out of the loop already. But that's where the learning opportunity is, isn't it?
Yes.
Please.
So
I'd like for you to repeat that again at some point anyway.
All right. So I'll bring it back. But they will come in as we go, though. Right. So if you look at the 5 commandments of project or project management, or the principles of project management, I call them the basic principles. Because if you look into project management literature, you have many principles. PMI has got 12 principles. Prince 2, which is also a project management methodology, has got 7 principles. Agile has got 12 principles. So if you talk about principle, which one do you talk about? So I looked at all these ones and started thinking, do you have basic principles of project management? No. So I bring you basic principles. How do you get a project started? How do you go through it from start to finish using some basic principles?
Things remember, you
should know. Remember this: if you can't teach it to a 6-year-old child, you don't really understand it. So can you bring it to the level of a 6-year-old child? What principles to go through, what laws to basically obey. So I came up with 5 basic principles. And if you go through, remember, these have been with us since the dawn of time. So let's get to it. So the first principle is a principle of understanding. It says, understand before you start. So the business you undertook, did you understand before you started? Whatever you are embarking on, do you understand it? You need to understand before you start. It's very simple. Understand before you start.
When we say understand, just very briefly also, what is the expectation here?
So understanding, what is expectation? What am I into?
What is the business?
What is the business?
How is it done?
There's a lot of questions you need to ask.
Right.
And we'll unpack that as we go. Then we go to the next one, principle of elaboration. Add details. It says, add flesh to what you understand. So I have identified what I want to do. I try to understand it. Then I need to add flesh to what I understand. Remember, if you don't understand it, you can't add flesh. You can't add more details. So you create a skeleton and you add flesh to the skeleton. That's elaboration. Some people call it planning. But it goes beyond planning, because there are other artifacts that you have to create beyond the plants. So we'll talk about them. Then we go to the principle of performing. It says, perform what you plan and remain adaptable. I like that bit. Perform what you plan or elaborate and remain adaptable. So you should be adaptable to change, because changes could actually happen And we'll talk more about that one. Next principle is the principle of gauging and acting. Continuously measure and adjust. Or you could say continuously measure and improve. The last one is the principle of completing and closing. It says finish and tie all loose ends. Finish and tie all loose ends. So if you listen to my quote, my early submission, and match a tie to these ones, it makes super sense. So we'll be taking you through, walk you by hand through all these principles. We've got 2 more weeks to go. Adding today will be 3 weeks. So 3 weeks to go. Today's session, we've got 2 more to finish. This is what we'll be talking about.
April is one of those months that's got 5 weeks, so
yeah,
we still have a bit of time.
Yes, great. So this is how we'll be going through everything. So you may want to stay with us through to the end. Now let's get to the principle of understanding. Look it up. I like to dig up the meaning of words, know where they came from, synonyms and all that. If you look into the word understanding, what do you see? There's a word called light. So in the dictionary, light means understanding. So it says command light. Understand before you start. If there's darkness, you can't see anything. So you need to have light. Now look into the Bible. So these are basic principles. The first word that was uttered, let there be light. So our Father in his wisdom had a project, unrivaled project to create the world. What's the first principle? Understanding. So he said, let there be light for understanding. So whenever you have a project, the first thing that you have to do is to command light. Understand. So you need to understand before you get started. Now many people say, okay, do I have to understand everything before I get started? I'll tell you no. But get some understanding before you get started. Look at this guy who has seen somebody making some good money in a business. So they think, yeah, once they could do the same thing, they could also make money. They didn't understand how they started, where they started from, the things they went through. So they also put their money into it. They struggle at some point. They didn't take their time to understand the business before they got into it. So use the principle. If it's a project, do that. If it's a business, understand it before you get into it. How do I satisfy this principle? So that's a question that we'll be answering. What activities do I perform? If I want to understand my project before I get started, what activities do I perform? What methods or tools and techniques can I use? If I want to understand my project, my business, what tools and techniques, what methods can I use? And we'll be talking about all this. So just pay attention. Let's get to some of the activities. You may call them processes that you may have to go through. You need to set measurable objectives. I didn't say set objectives, I said measurable. What gets measured gets improved. So you need to make sure your objectives are measurable. I know many students, they come with objectives. So when are you going through their work, they are not measurable. But you see, your objectives should be SMART. M in there stands for measurable, being measurable. So you should be able to measure it. So you quantify them so you can measure them.
See, I think the most vague objective I've seen is increase productivity.
Increase productivity.
How?
By how much? That's not measurable. So if I increase it by 1%, I've done something. So if I could quantify, make it more specific, increase productivity by 10%
of prior year.
Yes, so I can measure it. So make sure your objectives in the project are measurable. Identify initial requirements. So I'm starting a project. What are the initial requirements? What do I need? What are the needs and expectations? Initial. We say initial because at this point, you haven't done detailed work. You want to have a fair idea of what you want to do before you get into elaboration. So I need to have an understanding. What are the requirements? Then you collect the key deliverables. What are the major deliverables? Key things that we have to do. Then you identify key stakeholders. I want to buy a bus project. Who are my key stakeholders? If I get a bus, who are the people I will have to be dealing with? You need to think about DVLA. These are key stakeholders. You need a driver.
I'm smiling. I'm trying not to be mischievous. The most common statement you will hear from fellow business people when you're trying to, let's say, start a business and you have a bit of money, you want to buy a bus. They'll say, you're not going to take your time and do all this. Time is money. Time is money.
Yeah. Time is money. So we say you don't need to understand everything. So you can't be perfect. Don't wait to become perfect before you start. Start to get some understanding. Start and work your way into perfection.
Right.
That's what we are talking about.
Right.
So not necessarily getting all the understanding, but get some understanding, get some light before you get started. So these are major things you need to think about. It becomes like a checklist for you.
Right.
So who are the major stakeholders? Create summary budget. How much? I want to buy this bus. This is a bus project. How much am I looking at? High level. Have I got the money? So I need to think about it and know if I could basically afford it. Collect success criteria. What are the things I could use to measure success? High level. These are high level things. Identify major risks. This project, what is the major risk that will come to mind? Obviously, accident. So the risks that could spring to mind at that stage, easily spring to mind. These are the key major risks. Identify them at that stage. We'll take our time and elaborate. Then we need to reference to lessons learned or historical records. If you've done this before, you remember what you said, if you embark on a project, you need to learn. So if you've done it before, we've gathered some lessons. So we need to learn from that project because we don't want to repeat mistakes. So if I've done it before, I need to look into my repositories and see what I could find to help me improve. So reference to lessons learned, very, very important. It's part of your OPAs. Then you collect assumptions and constraints. What are the assumptions? What is held as true? What are the constraints? What could be the restriction in here? There was a project that some people were doing in one area. For the team, they told them to recruit from the local area. That's a constraint restriction. So you can't bring anybody from outside. So whether they are well trained or not, you need to work with them. So that's a constraint that should be stated. Then you know exactly how to go about it. Right. So you start thinking about these things at the beginning to help you understand it. So that's the things that you do. What methods could you go through? There's a method I will tell you called expert judgment. You need it. So I keep telling my students, if you even have a process and you're struggling to come up with a method, think of expert judgment. Be an intelligent asker. So for a project management to become successful, I keep saying this, you need two things, expert judgment and brainstorming, or brainstorming consultation. So you brainstorm. You have a team, you brainstorm, gather ideas, pick the ideas of your team members. If you don't have the idea, expertise, look outside. That's expert judgment. So I want to understand something. I have not done it before. Somebody is an expert in that area. Talk to them. Expert judgment. Then there's a new thing, artificial intelligence assistance. I call it AIA. That's a simple thing to do. I want to basically run this business or manage this project, embark on this project, maybe write a book for like 6 months. I want to make it that simple for everybody to understand. So book on meta learning. So I have a book on meta learning, how to learn. So I teach people how to learn. How did I go about it? I had to benchmark, use AI assistance. So online, get AI to help me edit. These days you don't need editors that much. AI.
And I know that we don't have a lot of time, but we have time in terms of weeks. This AI thing, just take another 60 seconds and hit it again for me. You know, people don't like things that they don't know about, and they shy away from it. I mean, I remember when I came to Ghana, one of the first places I worked was in the shipping industry.
Yeah.
And it's one of those areas that people don't go there, so they use agents. People don't like insurance, so they use agents. Anything we don't like, we don't go there. But AI, look, even the baby boomers can use it. Just ask the right questions.
That's it.
You want to know how many people have written books on diplomacy in Ghana in the last 20 years. Don't go and spend 1 month reading in libraries.
Don't waste your time. It's a servant. AI. Yeah, AI is your servant now. Yeah. So Google will tell you Gemini is your assistant. So ask the right questions. So I want to start this business, write a book on meta learning. I could key in this one, AI, use any of them. You could use DeepSeek, you could use ChatGPT.
I think ChatGPT is the most common one.
Yes.
And go and find out other AIs.
Yes.
But please, stop now Stop grinding the wheel. Go and ask AI.
Just ask. And it'll give you the answers, because it holds that big repository. All the information that you are looking for, they are in there. So it's a great start, a great place to start if you want to understand. Great place to start. So it's one of my great methods. I love it. So I call it AIA, Artificial Intelligence Assistance. Then benchmark. If somebody has done it, go to that person. I want to run this bus business. I've seen you done it for I've seen you've done it for like 10 years. Ask some questions. I want to understand it. I am also call me timber merchant. So when I wanted to do this, I had to understand. So somebody had done it for like 15 years. I spoke to them. I went there, spent like a week with them. I went to the forest with them, understood it from start to finish. Before I got started, understanding. We call it benchmarking, getting to know the best practices. Simple. Then the next thing is data gathering. You can also use data gathering. So you pick some of the artifacts that you have. Somebody is giving you a contract. They've given you the agreement. Data gathering, you take the contract, you run through, you go through, you hope you understand exactly what you have to do. So you could also go through the business case if they have it, because it comes before the project. So maybe you have the business case, which talks about why, justification, the needs and all that. I could go through to understand the project.
Exactly.
You could have benefit management plan. You use these ones. If you have a project brief, that will give a summary of what we have to do. Just go through. It could help you understand it. You could use project mandate. If there's an agreement, contract, historical records, we talked about it. You go through some of the repositories that you have, which is part of your organizational process asset. You run through them to help you understand it. So looking at this, you don't have a problem managing a project. The problem might be laziness. So I keep saying this, project management is not for the weak-kneed. If you are lazy, you can't manage project management. It takes work. Because the checklist,
You have to put in the effort.
yes, what you have to do, the guidelines, they are there. But if you don't have that discipline to follow them, you have issues. So now if you're looking for information, you find it. But have you got the discipline to go look? That is something that we need to think about.
It's ironic. If we had to go and forage and spend months reading different books, getting information, we would do that. But now that the information is readily available, we don't want to break the confines and the frontiers of doing more. You have time, so use time to do more.
Do more. That's it.
You know?
Use time to do more. Then brainstorming. So you want to do this, you've got your team, you sit down, we brainstorm. Then I added journaling, and I use that in my organization. So we write down our thoughts. So it doesn't end at the meeting. We have a book. Everybody has a book. So as you think about something, just jot it down.
Write it.
Somebody will come to the meeting and say, I had a great idea last night. Okay, what is it? Hey, I can't remember. So I'm teaching them to journal. Everything that is important, everything that comes to mind, write it down, because you might not get it again. And when it comes in a different way.
Momentarily.
You might not have it in that same shape. So I keep telling people, if you want to be wise, be a journalist. Start journaling. Write down
things down.
Important things down. Collect your thoughts all the time. Because when you do that, the idea thinks, you love it, you embrace it, you pamper it. It doesn't just come to you. It goes and find its friends to come and dine with you. And I've realized that one. If you embrace and pamper wisdom, you get more ideas. So whenever it comes to you, you want to write it down and you embrace it. And when you find you're happy, you always get more wisdom.
Everything you are passionate about, it attracts more.
That's it.
I always use this example. Have you seen how, if you want to buy a Toyota Corolla, for example, and let's say you have the money ready, it's approved and everything, and you're going to buy it in about 3 weeks. When you drive on the streets, the only car you see is a Toyota Corolla.
Okay, you're going to the mind now.
I'm telling you, the only car you see, you don't see any other car.
This is a science part. There's a region in your brain called reticular activating system. So when you focus on something, it's like a filter. So when you focus on something, it creates that filter. Then it blocks other things, and it tries to give you evidence of what you're thinking of, what you focus on. So on the road, there's a filter. Your mind is blocked, so you don't see other things. It is now giving you what you want to see.
I see money.
That is why I keep telling the young people, you always need to have a goal.
Yeah.
Because when you have a goal, you train your prefrontal cortex, which dictate the RAS, reticular activating system. You train it, and it's connected to every part of the brain. So it decides what you see, what you attract. So if you don't have a goal, I keep saying you're lost in the forest. So we don't want to go there. That's a story for another day. Let's stick to the menu. Yeah, so we're talking about journaling. We need to write down our thoughts. Understanding ideas will keep coming back to you. Keep writing them down. Then you also use interpersonal intelligence, because you would be going to people to gather information. You need to relate to them, know how to relate to them. How do you interact with them? Because how you interact with me is what I give out.
Exactly.
So you need to know how to relate to people. So you need more of interpersonal intelligence. It's part of emotional intelligence. So I keep saying this emotional intelligence, it's two parts. There are 8 types of intelligence. We won't get into that. 2 of them, interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence. Intra, within.
Of course.
So those who can hold their emotions, control their emotions, self-awareness, self-regulation, and other people, emotions of other people. So you become intelligent when it comes to managing emotions. That is basically being emotional intelligence. Intelligence is about mastery. We'll talk more about it. So you need that to help you get the information that you want from other people. So these are some of the methods, tools and techniques you can basically use to understand exactly what you have to do. Quite straightforward, not too difficult. But it takes discipline to do these ones. Now let's see the major artifact. If you do this, what will be the output? If you're able to do this properly, obey the principle, this simple principle, go through some of the processes, you have a project charter. All the information I talked about will be in the charter. So if you go into the charter, you have the initial requirement, assumptions, key stakeholders, what could go wrong, what could be the opportunity, looking at risk, deliverables. These will be in the charter. So now you have a document to guide you. And this becomes the basis for authorizing the project, or pushing the project into
reference point,
into the other stages. So like a reference point. But the question is, do we have charters for the project that we embark on? Do we? Yeah, we understand, but it's in our heads. Do you have a document to hold what we understand? Remember this, when you start jotting down information, they get bright. So I keep saying this, when the information is in your head, it's dull. When it gets on paper, it gets bright. When you start doing it, it shines. So understanding this principle says it has to be continuously elaborated. So you keep understanding as you go.
Right.
So you have a document to hold what you understand. I call it a project précis. So you see before you get in there. And this will become the progenitor for planning process and other things that we do. Yeah. It will lead the way. It becomes like a father. So it will give birth to the other documents that you create. Reference point. So whenever you are managing a project, you have this document. Anything that is not in line with that reference point can't be done. So I've seen projects that basically have been reinitiated because things changed and they were not in line with the charter. So the charter had to be the project had to be reinitiated because that is the progenitor, that is the father. Everything that can't be tied to that can't be done.
And it even gives you perspective and guides you to make certain critical decisions, like a reinitiation.
Yes.
It's brilliant. I think that it's critical. Without
so we need to have that document. Yes. But the thing is, there's something called tailoring, a technique you can use called tailoring. So some people say, I want to do this, I want to get started right away. How come I need to go through all this? It's waste of time. Use tailoring. Some of them might not be necessary. So it's scalable. Tailor based on
what you're doing.
Project, what you're doing. Exactly. You may not need all these detailed information. Which part do you need? I've seen project being planned, kick-started from just a project brief. they take a project brief. I've seen a project that has been implemented from just a mandate, project mandate. Customer says, or the CEO says, I want us to do this on paper. Write them on paper, give it to you. You could start planning from there. That mandate becomes your charter. So it's scalable.
Right.
So I'm teaching my students. They're trying to picture how the charter looks like. I said, charter, I've not seen it before. So you've not seen a charter before. Maybe you don't understand it. The report that your boss wanted you to do, how did it get started? He told you, do this. Do this, do this, do this. It should be done in 4 days. This is the customer. On an A4 sheet. Don't you think that's your charter?
They have a format in their
format. That is what you use to plan the work.
Yeah, I get it.
That is what you use to understand the work. So
it's an interesting conversation.
It's just project management for me is what we do all the time. It's in what we do all the time. So I also wrote this quote: if you don't understand, if you don't see project management in what you do, then you don't really understand it.
If you don't see project management in what you do, then
you don't really understand
it. Well, it's a brilliant thought, but just hold it for me for a second. I know we've still got a couple more slides to go, but I want our listeners to be a part of this conversation. If you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass. We're going to get interactive shortly, but we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we get interactive.
Kofi Hayford here with Showbiz News Flash, powered by Joy Entertainment. Last night, Black Sheriff scored another global recognition. You know Arsenal trashed Real Madrid in the Champions League last night, right? Well, before the game, Black Sheriff's song, Where Them Boys, off his new album, Iron Boy, was heard blasting loud through the official PA system of the stadium. Congrats to Blacko. Nigerian artist Davido don tire. Well, Davido says he's pulling the brakes on the idea of polygamy. In a very recent interview, the Nigerian star, who has 5 kids with 4 women, has declared that he's not going to cheat again and that he's tired of the troubles that relationships with multiple partners bring. Will American music mogul Diddy's troubles ever come to an end? Movie star Terrence Howard has revealed shockingly that the embattled Diddy tried to have sexual relations with him in the past, adding to the many sexual allegations that have ended Diddy in prison. That's all for now on Showbiz News Flash, powered by Joy Entertainment. Do visit Joy Entertainment's social media pages and myjoyonline.com for more. I am Kofi Hayford, Joy Entertainment. We are large and in charge.
Your favorite on-air business development program, Joy Business Masterclass, is in session, and you can interact with us on Facebook via the Joy 99.7 FM or Joy Business pages. If you tweet, the handle is at Joy 997 FM or at Joy Business GH. Don't forget to hashtag JB Masterclass. You can also call us on 0302 216541 or send your questions and contributions through to the WhatsApp number 0551 111997, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention everyone, class is in progress.
Welcome back. This is Masterclass and we're interactive right now. Numbers to call 0302 216 541. That's 0302 216 541. You can also send us your comments or your text messages on 055 1111 997. That's 055 1111 997. Or pick up the phone, give us a call on 0302 216 541. If you're driving, please do not text while you drive because we want you to arrive alive. Today's edition of Masterclass is brought to us by Goyle. Goyle, they say good energy, Goyle. Yenara. Yedia. Good energy brings you Goyle Super XP, the ideal choice for most vehicles. It is flowing Wawa at many Goyle stations in the country. Just go fuel up your vehicle and enjoy a smooth ride with all the benefits. Goyle Super XP is quality and gives you the correct choice when buying regular fuel. Goyle Super XP is fortified with a special additive that gives longevity to your engine, makes your engine perform to the max using minimal fuel, and it's also suitable for most vehicles. Goyle, they say good energy, Goyle. Yenara. Yeah, their phone lines are open. Numbers to call 0302 216 541. You can also send us your comments on 055 11 11997. We're here in the studio with Godwin, Adu-Afful, and we're talking about the principles of project management, principles of understanding. And like I mentioned earlier, if there's anyone listening who's linked to anyone at the PMI, tell the PMI that we're live on Masterclass on Joy FM, and we're talking about project management, and we want them to be a part of this conversation. So they should pick up the phone, give us a call, 0302-216-541. Godwin, while we're waiting for the phone lines, I think you got a couple more slides.
Yes, so
we could just go through
we're
them.
looking at some of the artifacts you could create to help you understand your project. We talked about project charter, which is more common with the PMI. So if those in Ghana, part of America, Canada, they use the PMI, the PEM book more. So the PEM book would teach you, talk about the project charter. But in the region of the European regions like UK, Germany, they would love to go with the PID. So I want to expand a little bit so that people understand it. They use more of the Prince 2. America, they use PMP. Ghana, we use PMP. Some people use the Prince 2. So in the UK, we use Prince 2. So Prince 2, if you want to understand your project, we don't use the charter. We use the PID, Project Initiation Document. So it's more like the charter.
Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, practically the same thing with different name, basically. So I'm writing a book on project. My book. So these concepts are coming from my book. I'm also trying to reorganize it. I call my project Précis. So it's just use of words, basically.
Nomenclature.
Yeah, that's it. So you can also use the PID to help you capture your understanding that you have in project. Now let's go to the project manager. When you have the charter or the PID, you may have it without the PM, project manager. Usually the project manager doesn't write the charter. You're likely to see somebody above the project charter, project manager, to write the charter. It could be the sponsor, it could be any senior executive, and they will authorize it. They will give it to you. So it becomes like a mandate to you, giving you authority,
like a directional document of some sort.
Authority to go ahead with the project. So once you have it, then you could use it to plan your work and work out the other things in there. So let's look at this project manager. Who has the project charter or the project initiation document? Who is the project manager? Now, if you take your time, many people don't get it. This is what we do. We have a project and we're thinking anybody could lead it. Wrong. It's a project. So the person who has to lead it needs to have understanding in project management. Question is, those who lead our projects, do they have understanding in project management? I'll talk to you about some of the competence they need to have. So do we need that person that will lead it, that will help with the planning? He doesn't actually plan, but he takes the information from the subject matter expert, put it together, have the plan. He doesn't perform the job. He gets it done through his technical people, the team. But what he does more is monitoring, controlling, which I call gauging and acting. So if you look at the word project manager, it's tied to supervisor. So I call the project manager the chief supervisor. Now, if you take your time and look at this word supervisor, what do you see? Supervisor. Super means above. Vida from Latin, vidri. It means to see. So oversee. So you need to have somebody sitting at a strategic position that can see everything going on in the project. Question is, your project manager, when some people were not motivated to do the job, did he say it? When the job was running late, did he say it? When the cost was overrunning, did he say it? So you need to be up there. So not saying up there, but you need to have systems that could help you monitor, see exactly what is going on.
You need to know what to even look out for.
That's it.
So you see it when it happens.
That's
because
it.
Once you put the process in motion, they will happen one way or the other, but will you see it?
You see it. So you need to position yourself strategically to see all these things, and you use systems, feedback systems, to help you do this. So as a project, you need to understand these ones. There's something called halo effect, and that's what happens with many organizations. Halo, like a glory. So you are good in this, we think you could be good in that. That's a whole halo effect. It's a cognitive bias. I think, so me, I play football. So they know I'm intelligent, So sometimes I make mistakes on the pitch. Did you write the book on how to learn? How come you are intelligent lecturer? You can't give this good pass.
Simple pass.
I'm telling you that we have. Then I tell them we have different types of intelligence. What you guys confusing yourself with is a body kinesthetic intelligence with academic intelligence. They are not the same. So halo effect. They think you are good here, you should be good there as well. So
that's good with managing budgets.
So he's very good he ran that organization very well. So yeah, we think he can be good on this project. He needs to have the right skills. So we need to be very careful with that. We tend to do that.
We say coordination is a competency that anyone who leads projects should have.
Of course, coordination. It's part of it. So I use the square. The square. PMI used the triangle, talent triangle. I call it competency square. It's basically a variant of the PMI talent triangle. So I'm looking at this. If you're a project manager, you need to have project management intelligence. I use the word intelligence. Intelligence stands for understanding. From the word leggeri. Inter means between. Leggeri means to read, to choose. So you should be able to read between things. That's intelligence. So it shouldn't happen clearly before you know. You should be able to read between, and it takes more of understanding to do this. So you need to know more about project management. How do you do this? Through reading. You need to read more and learn more as you go. So that is one thing that you need. The other bit is leadership. And this is modern leadership.
I have a question here, so let me ask it since you're going to talk about leadership. It says that, can we say that project management is leadership, getting work done through other people?
I could pick this one. It's good. It's right on the track, on the beam. It's right on the beam. It's right. We can't say it's wrong. Leadership. Now we start talking about project leadership more than project management, because management is different from leadership. But you need management, you need leadership. You need both. But you need more of leadership to become successful in modern businesses. So you need to, so he's right. Leading the team. And like I said, you don't do the work. So you need to know how to lead the people to do the work for you. At the end of the day, when the job is done right, who do we see? Who do we praise? You. But who did it for you? So it's about how you get it done. So in my space, entrepreneurship, I keep saying this, you need two major things, project management and leadership. That is basically what is helping me in my area. So I always read about leadership. How do I lead the people? So leadership, motivation. How do I motivate the people? If you could get into the heart of the people, they can do everything for you.
Leadership is one of those topics that I never get tired of talking about, because it's one of the most difficult things to do. It's one of the things that most people feel that they can do easily, and yet they're not so good at. Because you see, to be able to get people to do a particular thing or move in a particular direction continuously, no matter how short or long the period, is true leadership. And getting them to do it not out of coercion, but out of an understanding of what needs to be done.
I like that bit.
And a lot of people are good if you ask them to do it alone, but they can't carry a team along. They can't get people to understand, wake up in the morning and be excited that, oh, I'm going to work today to get this done because of this. And I'll just end by saying that there was a famous quotation that one of my seniors in HR said to me. He says, Yaw, people don't leave organizations. People leave people.
They leave bosses, yes. True.
I thought that was so profound. People don't leave organizations. People leave people.
Yeah, true.
So just sort of juxtapose all of that together for me and how it relates to project management.
Motivation is super. As a leader, you need to know how to motivate the people. And there are a lot of things that you do. So I say motivation is about works and worse. So it's not just about, I want to motivate you. So yes, there's a reward. If you do this, if you achieve your target, there's a reward that we give you. Yeah, these are works. But how do you even relate to them?
I've got a comment on social media. I almost said my comments were not coming to. This one is from Papa Ansalabi in Equiapem Latte. He says, "Good afternoon, Senior. Please, I'm really enjoying your program with your guest. Where can I find him? Can you share his details? Okay, we will do that.
He's from my hometown as well, though.
Oh, you know
I'm
him?
from Latte, yeah.
Okay,
I don't know him, though, but I'm from Latte.
He's from your hometown?
Yes.
I lost track of time. I think that our time has run out. But let's sort of bring our conversation to a close today. Give us the takeout for this conversation. And then where we can get help from your, you. Because, you're a lecturer as well, and you help people, a resource person. Where we can find you after the show today. You're going to be here for a couple more weeks, but just for Papa and Seth's question, where we can find you after today, and if people need help. So I'll take out and then where we can find you. We sort of round up our conversation for today.
All right, that's fine. So yes, so we're looking at things that we need to have, and we talked about project management intelligence. We talked about leadership. You also need something I called, PMI also talks about it in one of the articles, project management technology quotient. Very, very important. So we talked about AIA, Artificial Intelligence Assistant. Yeah. So PMTQ is about knowing how to push in technology to drive efficiency, to drive project outcomes. So how do you bring these ones in? So you need to be a techie, be technology enthusiast, know about technology, love it, embrace it. Don't be a Luddite. Some people are Luddite. They hate technology. We call them Luddite.
They get brain freeze.
They hate technology. But in this age and time, you can't hate technology. You need to embrace it.
Innovate or you die.
Yeah. So the project manager needs that quotient, ability to integrate technology into what they do to make life easy. Don't take your time to don't spend more time doing the network diagrams manually. Use software to help you do this. So you need that. Then you also need business acumen. Understand how business are run. If you do that, it could help you focus on value. So you know what is flowing out of my output. It's not just finishing the output, churning out output, but what is coming out of it. When you understand right from the get-go, it helps you do it better. So these are the areas that you may have to be looking at, but pay much attention to leadership. Right. Much attention to leadership. So practically, that is it. So we started talking about the principles. We said we have very many principles, but we're looking at the basic principles to help people understand it. And we said the principle of understanding is the first thing that you need to know. Understand before you get started. Next thing, when we come, we look at the other principles. We look at the principle of elaboration. The other ones, we'll look at them and finish them off. And we also talked about the methods that you can use. We listed basically the activities you go through to understand your project. What is the major artifact that you can create to capture your understanding of the project? We say you could use a charter, but it's scalable. So don't look at this big thing if you have a small project. Even you could have a 5-pager. If it captures your understanding of your project, that's your project précis or your charter. You could also use the PID to do this. And we talked about the competency square. If you're a project manager, you sit above, you oversee things. So you need to be able to know what's actually going on. So you need intelligence, you need leadership, you need business acumen, you need a PMT.
If you just put out your social media handles for me, and then we'll sort of round up our conversation for today.
Where to find me? Okay, social media will be good. So if you just type Godwin on LinkedIn, Godwin. I've got great videos you could watch. I'm also on YouTube, Godwin. Just type Godwin. It's a unique name. If you do Godwin, you see a lot about me.
Is there a number to call?
Yes, 0209 66 1100 0209 66 1100 is WhatsApp me first, then we book an appointment that we can talk.
I wish we could go on, but we've already gone past that time already. This has been Masterclass here on your Superstation. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you same time next week.